This video today will be about classifying number sets. So we're going to look at what categories that the numbers go into, how to label a number line, ordering integers from least to greatest using a number line, and also in a number set. I encourage you to write notes and highlight the math vocabulary. And if the video is going too fast for you, just hit pause and catch up with the notes. So let's start with classifying number sets. So the four categories that we're going to look at are going to be natural, whole numbers, integers, and rational numbers. Okay, so let's understand a definition before we start to look at some examples. So for a natural number, these are going to be all your positive whole numbers. So it's all the whole numbers that is to the left of the zero. I'm sorry, to the right of the zero. Okay, your whole numbers is positive whole numbers and zero. Integers, you want to think of a number line. So it's the numbers on the number line that are negative, positive, and zero. So negative whole numbers, positive whole numbers, and zero. And your rational number is going to include the first three sets. So it's going to be natural numbers, whole numbers, and integers. And it's also going to include fractions and two types of decimals. So we have terminating decimals and repeating decimals. Okay, so let's just add a few examples of what is a positive whole number. That number could be 2, 3, 54, 101, and the number can keep going as long as it's positive and it's a whole number. For the whole numbers, it's again positive whole numbers and it includes zero. So it's zero and any positive number to the right of zero. So it could be 1, 2, 3, and the number can continue on to infinity. Your integers will be a negative number, a positive number, and zero. A rational number can be a negative number, a positive whole number, zero, a terminating decimal, means it stops. A repeating decimal has the bar over the last number, and fractions. Okay, so let's look at an example of a number set, and we're going to put them in the correct category. Okay, so our numbers is -2, 7, 3/4, 5/10, 0, and 8. Let's put our categories back: natural, whole, integers, and rational numbers. Now, as we look at these numbers, they can go in one set or more. And we always want to take a look at our numbers before we get started and be sure that it's in the simplest form. So all of these numbers are in their simplest form. So let's start with natural. Natural are positive whole numbers. So 7 will go in this category, and 8. Okay, looking at our whole numbers, 7 is a positive number. 0 is included with our whole numbers, and 8. Integers, we're focusing on our number line that has negative numbers, positive numbers, and 0. So -2 will go into the integers category. 7, a positive whole number. 0, and positive 8. Now, our rational numbers are all 3 of these categories, so we have to make sure all of these numbers are repeated once in the rational section. So -2 will go in, 7, 0, and 8. And looking at our number set, we can also add our fraction of 3/4 and our terminating decimal of 5/10. Okay, let's try another number set. And these are just brackets, another extension of a parentheses. Here we have 1/2, 66/100 repeating, 8/4, or 8 divided by 4, -11, and 3. Now remember, before we start putting our numbers into categories, we want to be sure it's in the simplest form. So the number that's not in the simplest form right now is 8 divided by 4. 4 divided by 8 is going to be 2. So we'll keep in mind that this 8 divided by 4 is really a positive 2. So we have our natural numbers, whole, integers, and rational numbers. Again, these numbers can be put in one or more sets. So we have a fraction. We know fraction goes into the rational numbers of 1/2. .66 repeating decimal will also go into the rational category as repeating decimals. 8/4, or 8 divided by 4, is really a positive 2 for the answer. So that's going to be a natural number, a whole number, an integer, and a rational number. -11 is a whole number that's negative on a number line, so it'll go into integers and would also be a rational number. And our last number is 3. It would be a natural number, a whole number, on the number line as a positive number, and that would also be included as a rational number. Okay, now that we know the categories that the number is in, let's take a look at how you would label a number line. So most times when you see your number line, you can go ahead and put a 0 right in the middle of your number line. Your numbers will get bigger going right and smaller in value going left. So if we start with 0, you know the next number is 1, 2, 3, and 4, and it continues on. These are all positive numbers. Okay, for our smaller numbers, they're going to be negative numbers. And we will start from 0 and go out with 1 as well, but we will put a negative sign in front of it. So -1, -2, -3, and -4. You're getting to the point where it would be very important to say the word negative before a number or positive before a number. Now you notice there's not a plus sign in front of the positive numbers. That's when you assume it is positive. So it could actually have a plus sign in front of it, or it can just be the number. Both means positive. Whereas for your negative numbers, it has to have like a subtraction sign in front of it for negative, meaning you're taking away. It's going to get smaller. So let's look at ordering integers. Integers are the numbers on the number line, negative, positive, and 0. And we're going to order them from least to greatest. And this is just my abbreviation that you'll see throughout videos. L to G for least to greatest. So let's start with our number set. 3, -1, 0, 2, -5, and a 4. Now you should pause the video here and try to apply the notes and the things that you've learned thus far and see if you're able to create a number line and then put the numbers in the correct category and also order them from least to greatest. So putting all 3 steps together. So let's first start with the number line. I always like to start with 0, just so to give me an idea of the placement, even if 0 is not one of the numbers that you have to order. But in this case, it is. So starting from the right and going out where my numbers will get bigger, I'm going to put 2 on the number line, 3, and 4. Notice I did not start with 1. 1 is not included in the number set. These hashes can represent the numbers that I want on my number line. So I'm just going to go ahead and cross these out so I know I've covered all of them. Okay, so I have a -1 left and a -5. So when you put your negative numbers on, starting from 0, you're going to count out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the numbers get bigger going out, but they actually get smaller in value. So we're going to have a -1 and -5. And you could have wrote out -1, -2, -3, -4, -5 if that's better for you, but you didn't actually need all that on the number line. We're just getting a picture of how do these numbers look on the number line. So you see the number 5 and you think 5 is going to be bigger than 1 in this instance, a negative 5. Actually, a negative 5 is smaller than a negative 1 because we're closer to 0. Okay, so let's order these numbers from least to greatest, which as you look at on the number line is already in that order. So we have negative 5, negative 1, 0, 2, 3, and 4. So some may find it very helpful to do the number line to give yourself a visual instead of just looking at the number set and trying to figure out the values of what goes first and what goes last. And we also have our categories. And I'm just going to abbreviate it for natural, whole, integers, and rational. So this negative 5 will be an integer and a rational number. Negative 1 is an integer and a rational number. 0 is going to be a whole, an integer, and rational. 2 is natural, whole, integer, and rational. 3, natural, whole, integer, and rational. And 4 is going to be a natural number, a whole number, an integer, and a rational number. And with this, we're putting together all the notes. Looking at a number set, it's already simplified. Building a number line, putting the numbers in order from least to greatest, and then putting them in categories, natural, whole, integers, and rational. I'm going to do one last example. You might want to pause the video and give it a try yourself, and then check your answer. The number set is going to be a 2, 1, 1/2, negative 1, 3/4, and 3. The number set. This time I'm going to start with the categories. Natural, whole, what's an integer, and what's a rational number. So all the numbers are simplified. We're going to put in the natural a 2, 1, and a 3. And this is just moving left to right in the number set. You can always do them in order 1, 2, 3 if you're more comfortable with that. Okay, for our whole numbers, it's going to be 2, 1, and 3 as well. Our integers will be 2, 1, negative 1, and 3. And our rational numbers will be 2, 1, our fraction 1/2, negative 1, fraction 3/4, and 3. Okay, so let's put these numbers on a number line. Now, although 0 is not in our number set, again, I like to place 0 so it can give me an idea of where I'm going to place my numbers for positive and for negative. So I just put a little 0 here. Okay, so our first number is going to be a 2. And these hashes really don't represent anything, but let's just do it with value. So let's start with our negative numbers first, actually. So we have a negative 1. Our remaining numbers are all positive. So we know it's going to be on the right side. But where would I put 1/2 and 3/4? Where does that actually fall on a number line? It's always good to know how to read fractions and decimal forms when we have to compare them. So 1/2 of 100 is 50. So it's going to be 0.50 and 3/4. It's 0.75. And you can think about quarters. There's 4 quarters in a dollar, and that would help you put this in decimal form. So we know 0.5 and 0.75 has to fall between 1 and 2. Okay? So we can go ahead and put our, actually it's not going to fall between, it's going to go before it. So let's put our 0.50 first, or actually our 1/2. Then our 3/4. And now we will make a whole with 1, then 2, and the last number is 3. So I got ahead a bit ahead of myself, but the decimals will go before the whole number of 1. So we have -1, 0, 1/2, 3/4, 1, 2, and 3. So ordering these numbers from least to greatest will look like this. And that is it for this video.